All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me once again on The Fast Lane, your podcast for success. I am your host, Derek Lane, and we've got a wonderful episode for you. We will discuss the Imposter Syndrome. What is it? Why is it? What do we do about it if we think maybe we have it? Something very interesting to talk about. So once again, thank you so much for joining me, and let's see if we can't get started with this. Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, again for being with me, and let's see if we can't get going with another episode. So what is the imposter syndrome? Well, quite frankly, it's an idea that we're really not worth our value. You have this, deep-seated subconscious prevailing thought that maybe I'm not as good as I pretend to be. Maybe all of my successes are really, fake or fraudulent. I just happen to be in the right place at the right time. I'm not really that good. Well, there's a lot of people that feel that way. You're not alone. That's why there's a name for it, and that is imposter syndrome. So when you start to think that way, realize that you're just going through some psychological moments of comparative output. And what I mean by that is when you see other people that maybe you're trying to compare yourself to, and you're trying to hold yourself up to other people in similar situations, and you think you don't hold up to that same standard. Well, that in and of itself is false. You have to get over that. That's a confidence issue, to think that you don't compare. So realize that you do. Now, if you think that your potentiality isn't up to par because maybe you haven't, you don't have that degree or that PhD, whatever it is, you haven't written a book or you haven't studied, whatever it is, or got a grant to study, whatever it is, that you can always put excuses in front of what your goals are, what your actions should be. You can always do that. There's excuses out the wazoo. Well, we don't need to do that, right? We need to forge ahead. Okay. Now, sometimes when you feel like you're a fraud because maybe you think you're more important than you actually are, sometimes it's okay to be humble and be down to earth and kind of let go of that self-righteous, self-important attitude. You'll feel less fake when you become more real. Okay, so understand that. You'll feel less fake when you become more real. Okay, except that you've had success. That you are successful, and some of the oldest things that you've done are successful. Once you start to think about your successes in life, then some of that imposter syndrome will fade away. Focus on providing value. When you provide value to people, then you can't help but become more important and less fake. That's one of the easiest ways I know to do it. I keep a journal of all of the good things that I've accomplished. Whether it's speaking to a crowd or just having a one-on-one session. When someone relates to me that what I've done for them was great, they can't thank me enough. Those are the things that I'll jot down in my journal. And from time to time, it's always good to go back and read them because, every once in a while you think, am I really doing this for the right reason? Am I really helping people? Am I, go back and revisit some of the people you've already helped. And then you'll find the answer is yes. Okay? So stop comparing yourself to other people. Once you stop holding your scorecard against someone else's scorecard, you will start to feel more authentic. Some of the most successful people in life right now, whether it's movie star or writers or artists, whatever, they go through this. So don't feel alone. Most of them go through this. So I guess in a way it's a good thing for you to feel this because you're in good company, right? If you're feeling that. So make sure that in your life you're doing everything right. Don't try to live someone else's life. Don't try to vicariously live in someone else's life because you're going to miss it. You're going to miss the good that you're doing. Emerson said that envy is ignorance. I think there's a lot of truth in that. Expose yourself to being real, the ability to handle things. Don't worry about the pressure and the stress so much. It'll all work out for you. But just realize where you're at. When I say expose yourself to where you're at in this moment. The ability to realize, the realness of who you are, again, will fade out some of the feelings of fake or fraudulent. Okay? So, very important. Treat the things, or the things that you're doing, treat them as a business. What you're doing is a business. You get through life by sharing, doing positive things, whatever it is that you're good at. Managing people, speaking to people, writing to people, whatever it is. Treat it as a business and understand that. Okay? And when you feel that way, when you feel like you've got that confidence issue, that imposter syndrome, acknowledge it. That's a huge step right there. Just acknowledge it. That I'm feeling that again. So what am I supposed to do? Oh yeah, go back and review some of the things I've done. Admit it. And one thing too, you can be wrong. You can make mistakes. Making a mistake doesn't make you a fake. You made a mistake. Some of the best people on earth that lived and walked have made mistakes, and they've gone through it. They lived past it, and it's all good. Okay? Now, nobody belongs here or belongs in this, in success more than you do. You deserve success just as much as the next guy. You deserve it because you put your time in for it. You put your thoughts and your actions in for success. You spend time listening to my podcast, reading books, listening to a lot of other, podcasts and success and business. So you're growing your world, so you belong in it. Realize that when you hold yourself back, you're actually defrauding others. See, when you hold yourself back and you hold back the things that you can contribute, then you're actually not giving them to people that could use your help, that could be reminded of your success. So in other words, don't always think about it in terms of me. I'm doing this for others, whether it's a coworker, whether it's a spouse or a sibling or child, whatever, a friend, whatever it is. You're doing these things for others as well. Okay? Now, do you want to be on your deathbed regretting that you didn't do something because you were afraid to try? Maybe you were afraid to shake that feeling that you're a fraud. Okay? We're all going to pass at some point. Make sure you put your best foot forward while you're on this earth. Get past the idea of being a fraud. Now, you can try this. You can do what they call a stream of consciousness writing. Suggest something, that you can write down. Just write it out. Write out your successes, your fears, your failures, whatever it is that comes to your brain. Write it out. Okay? And then go back and look at it. And, you'll see that you've got good stuff going on. You don't have to feel afraid of being an imposter. Okay? Say what you want. We often put ourselves in a position of expert, and that's okay. If somebody considers you an expert, you don't necessarily have to carry that moniker around for yourself. But if it's bestowed upon you in a certain situation, then live up to it. Realize it. It's a good thing. Okay, and realize that nobody really knows what they're doing. Especially when they get started. We're all feeling our way around. Nobody came into this world and within a couple of hours started walking around. You can't. You learn. You grab hold of stuff. You pull yourself up, you fall. You pull yourself up again. You take a step, you fall. Eventually, you'll walk. And at first, you're pretty wobbly, but you walk. And you're feeling great. I'm walking. And that's what you got to do. You got to get walking. Because once you're walking, and you're walking great, now you can run. And that's what the winners do. They learn how to not just walk, run, right? Right to success. That's what they're running to. Take action. Imposter syndrome lives in the abstract. It is impossible to survive, or for the syndrome to survive, when you're taking action. Action will melt away all your fears. Realize that you are never you. You're always changing. You are somebody different right now than you were 6 months ago. You're going to be somebody different 6 months from now than you are today. Especially if you take my advice and start learning how to change your thought patterns, change for the better. Okay? It's a great place to be. Now, authenticity, now that is a hoax. What is being authentic? Now, I'm not going to say to one person that I necessarily would say to another. So am I not being authentic? No, you're just putting the right words and the right message together for the right time. So that's when you need to know that you don't have to be the same way every time. That's learning. That's doing what's best for the other person. Now, sometimes faking it works. You can go in if they say fake it till you make it. Well, sometimes you got to do that. But that's really, I've never been a big fan of that phrase. To me, that's just faking it till you're making it means put your big boy pants on and go out and do it anyway. Okay? Just pull your bootstraps up. Let's go. We got work to do. You got work to do. You got things to do. So you can't hit that ultimate goal unless you hit step 1. You can't hit step 10 by jumping right to step 5. You got to do step 1, then step 2, 3, 4, 5. You got it, right? But don't try to circumvent the things you need to do. Take action. Keep a journal. Know who you are. Learn to be great at who you are. And these things won't let you down. Ladies and gentlemen, the imposter syndrome, it's not that big a deal if you learn to deal with it. Well, actually, it's no big deal. Okay, because if you're listening to this podcast, you know how to deal with it anyway. These are for some of those moments that a little bit of doubt, shadow starts to cast itself a little bit. We won't let that happen, right? We're action-oriented people. Thank you for joining me with this episode of the Fast Lane Podcast for Success. I am your host, Derek Lane. Remember to tune in to your favorite outlet, iHeart, iTunes, like and share. Share it for somebody that you may never know who will get the benefit of this. Okay, you may never know. You may get somebody to come up to you and say, hey, thanks. I appreciate you sharing that because I got a lot out of it. So, you can always be the hero, right? Great questions coming in from my emailers. Email me, Derek@FastlanePodcast.com. Derek@FastlanePodcast.com. The website is FastlanePodcast.com. Visit me, subscribe, sign up. Guys, thank you so much. As always, I've enjoyed this.